All right, welcome once again to Remedial Theology, or as it's commonly called, Theology for Dummies. Our phone number is 1-800-466-1873. That is toll-free, 1-800-466-1873. We are taking your calls live tonight, and we'd like to know what's on your mind. We'd like to talk to you about theology, about the Bible, and ethics, morality, apologetics, anything that's on your mind. Give us a call at 1-800-466-1873. Let's go to our first call. Jedediah calling from New York. Jedediah, welcome to...
Oh, Mr. Cook.
Hey, Jedediah, how you doing?
How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good, pretty good.
Yeah, it's good talking to you.
Yeah, Merry Christmas.
Haven't spoken with you for quite some time.
Yeah, it's been a while since we talked. It's good to hear
How's
your
the
voice.
ministry?
Ministry's going well. Very good.
Good to hear.
Yeah. How's things going for you? I want to wish you a Merry Christmas, by the way.
Well, thank you very much, brother. Merry Christmas to you, too. It's, it could be better.
Okay.
It could be better. I got some problems.
You got some problems.
Yeah. There's some things I need to talk about.
Okay.
You got a minute?
Yeah, we just started. We've got some open phone lines, so I'm all yours. I'm all ears.
Well, I very much, first I want to say I very much appreciate the work you've been doing with the ministries.
Okay.
It's, it means quite a bit to me. Being at Rockefeller Penitentiary, it's hard to get some good teaching out here. You know, the whole Jose Meyer thing was a big problem.
Yeah, Jose Meyer. Now, let me just introduce you to our listeners, because we may have some first-time listeners.
Yeah, go ahead.
Jedediah Rambo is, let's just say that he's doing some time at Rockefeller State Penitentiary in New York, and he is a Christian. He's converted. We don't need to go into why he's there or how he got there, but he's been, studying his Bible, and he's been growing in his sanctification and in grace. So it's good to hear your voice again, Jedediah.
Thank you, brother. It's good to be on the show again. It's been a while.
Yeah. So what's on your mind?
Well, listen. It's been a little bit difficult over here, as I told you, trying to get some good teaching. And one of the things that the prisons do out here in New York is they do a Bless an Inmate for Christmas program.
Uh-huh.
And what they do is they allow you to go home for a couple of weeks if you've had good behavior.
Okay.
And I've been pretty good for the last few months, you know what I mean? Not hurt anybody, not stabbed anybody in the eye with a fork, anything like that.
Right.
Things have been going relatively well.
Okay.
If there was a scale and things were bad, and then on the other end of the scale things were good, I'd be about three-quarters of the way over to the good side.
Three-quarters.
Things are pretty good.
So you're making progress.
I was making some progress until recently. There was a bit of an altercation. And I've got what you'd call a little bit of a conundrum.
Okay. What's going on?
It's a problem, and I need to know if I should be more concerned than what I already am. Let me tell you what happened. Okay, so we get out of the prison for 2 weeks, right? We're able to go home and see the family and spend some time with the kids and the mom and dad and all of that, drink some eggnog and eat some stuff, and I don't know what people do for Christmas. That's what we do. And so I'm back and I'm visiting my family, and I'm staying at my in-laws. I spent Christmas there, and primarily because my true family didn't want to. Well, they don't want me to be around. They're now that I'm a Christian, one of the born againers, they said that they don't want me to be around. Mm. So that's my mom and dad. My mom and dad and my brothers and sisters, they for whatever reason they don't want to talk to me. I don't know what the problem is. I'm a very congenial guy. I'm very soft. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying?
When you get around them, do you witness to them a lot, or?
Well, I guess you'd have to qualify what witnessing is, but when I talk to them, I tell them things like they're going to be the freaking shish kebab. You know what I mean? Because they're going to be the fry. They're going to be sent to the cooker.
So if
they don't repent.
I take it they're not Christians.
No, they don't love Jesus the way that I love Jesus, and because they don't love Jesus, then they're going to get fried. They're going to be like fry bread. They're going to be like a funnel cake, and they're going to be like a scone of some sort at a carnival.
Okay.
It's not going to be good.
Okay.
And so I tell them that I'm speaking the truth.
Mm-hmm. In love.
And I tell them, well, that's debatable. But anyway, that's another story. We'll get to that some other time. The main issue I have is I'm over at my in-laws' house, and I'm visiting them. Mm-hmm. And they're a little bit more welcoming of me. They understand my foibles and my problems. Mm-hmm. And so I'm over there, and first off, I just got to tell you that, you learn trigger mechanisms I'm learning this in some of the prison counseling. It's called trigger mechanisms, and what it is, it's you want to stay away from certain stimulus that would cause you to lose your temper.
Mm-hmm.
I'm in a temper management program at the prison,
mm-hmm.
and one of the things that they teach you is to learn to be wise and to know what the trigger mechanisms are, not to get yourself mad, too upset. Well, you might want to go out and break some legs and bash some heads. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it makes sense.
Okay, so I'm staying at the house. All is going well. I like the family. But I noticed that they keep playing that song, Carol of the Bells. You know what I mean?
Carol of the Bells. In fact,
Carol of the Bells.
I think we have that on our playlist. I've got it right here.
Let me just say that song is like a tack hammer to the frontal lobe. Is that the song?
Is this the one you're referring to by the Mannheim Steamroller? Carol
it's by the what do you call those guys? The Moons Over Miami Rolling Steamers, something like that. I don't know. Anyway, they're playing this song
mm-hmm.
over and over and over again, like it's on a loop. And this song, it feels like someone is taking a carrot slicer,
mm-hmm.
shaving my shin, and then taking a sardine key and rolling the rest of my skin off my shin while throwing alcohol, honey, and fire ants. That's how it felt. I'm getting a little upset. I'm not doing so well. The trigger mechanism is starting to be pulled, and I recognize that. But I'm keeping myself relatively calm. I'm not getting too upset. I'm not yelling and using curse words and things like that. I'm not doing the swears.
Okay.
So this song's being played. Could you turn that off?
I thought it might be nice to play it in the background.
Let me just say that I've got a trigger, and I don't want people who I care about to pull it. It might be wise to turn it off.
Okay, we will turn it off. I apologize. I didn't know that the song was what you were actually...
I'm a little sensitive because of this issue, so I'm trying to keep myself from losing my cool.
So you're saying that the song was the trigger mechanism?
The song is... It sounds like it comes from Satan's Symphony. I'm just saying, it's just a terrible song.
Okay.
First off, I dated a girl named Carol. So that's not good. And secondly, I'm not big on the whole bells thing, if you know what I mean.
Right.
Ring on the fingers and bells on her toes. I don't like that song. And I'm just saying, it's not a good... Could you please turn the song off?
Oh, I didn't realize we had it going again. I'm sorry.
Now, they suggest that we meditate and do the chakra, but I don't do that. I'm just going to keep myself calm. Let me tell you the rest of the story without some distractions, all right?
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do.
All right. So I'm trying to gently tell my father-in-law to turn off the music because it's getting to a point where I'm not doing so well. Almost simultaneously, as I'm asking him politely but firmly to turn off the music, my mother-in-law hands me the gift that she wants me to open. I'm going to give you, well, I won't make you guess what kind of book it was, but let me just say, if there was pornography, which is bad, and there was Christian pornography, this would be Christian pornography.
What I thought your mother-in-law was a Christian.
She's a Christian, but she's not all that spiritual.
Okay.
And she's not really all that, she doesn't think much. So I open up the gift. I'm very excited because I knew it was a book. I could feel it by the package. And lo and behold, I tear off the little Santa. We had a little Santa sitting on a sleigh with the little bag out the... It's just a cute little package. And no bells. And I open up the package, and it's The Purpose-Driven Life. The Purpose-Driven Life, that's what you're... It's The Purpose-Driven Life.
That's what you're referring to as Christian pornography.
That is Christian smut. I'm just going to say right now, I'll be really honest. I don't have any, what do you call that? I don't have any grudges or bad feelings for the people that write those books. But, you got Jose Myers, the guy who's sure is a girl, right? And then you got, the whole, what's his name? The whole Prayer of Jubilee or Prayer of Jubilcane or what's his name?
Jabez.
The Prayer of Jabez, okay? Right. And then you got the whole Tommy LaJoyner. Tom LaJoyner, Tom LaHaye.
Oh, Tim LaHaye and and Jerry Johnson.
Barry Lincoln's or Lincoln Park or something. I don't know. Anyway, those books, I'm just going to tell you right now, they're Christian pornography.
Okay.
Okay, I don't want someone to tell me what my purpose is, and I don't want someone to tell me that I should have a life that's been driven by a purpose, and I don't want someone to give me a book that is, for as far as I'm concerned, Christian smut. The purpose-driven life is Christian smut. I'm just saying.
Okay.
Well, I don't think that people that would even read that book are Christians.
Wow, that's pretty harsh.
Well, don't you agree?
Well, I haven't read the book myself. I have been to a Rick Warren seminar, and
what do you think?
I found it to be very man-centered, a man-centered approach to Christianity. Which,
you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
I do. Okay.
Don't you just want to give him a fresh one?
Well, I don't allow things like that to take hold of me to that degree. But
you're a little more spiritual than me, and this is part of the problem. This is, again, going back to my conundrum. So I've got the Carol of the Bells that's still ringing in my ears.
Mm-hmm.
I've got the purpose-driven life staring at me like a one-eyeballed fish, and I'm very upset. So this is the beginning of my trigger being pulled. Okay? Now, I'm setting the scene for you to tell the story so that when I get to the best part, well, I should say the worst part, you'll understand what's going on in my head, okay? So I'm very upset.
Okay.
All right? I go to the bathroom. I try to alleviate myself in there, and I can't. So not only am I upset, I'm emotionally constipated. Not only am I upset because I got Christian smut, I'm spiritually constipated. But I'm also, the pipes aren't working. So I've got, I'm constipated in other ways, if you know what I mean. And there was no fruitcake or prune juice, none of that going on in the house. So I've got some bottled upness going on. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
All right, now check this out. Now, metaphorically, I'm being asked by them to take the trash out. And I'm thinking to myself, I've got all this kind of constipation. Perhaps the exercise of me taking out the trash would be a way for me to metaphorically relieve myself of some of the constipation that's going on. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
So I'm taking the trash out. I feel a sense and glimmer of hope. And lo and behold, what do you think I see? You want to guess what I saw?
I have no idea.
You don't even want to guess?
Nothing comes to mind.
Well, let me tell you, Mr. Cook. I go outside with the trash can, the hefty bag.
Mm-hmm.
I go to put it in the trash can. I'm walking towards the trash can, and do you know what I want to? You know what I saw?
I really don't.
I saw the next door neighbor using my father-in-law's trash can to put his packages and garbage in. He was using whatever was left over in the trash can. Mm-hmm. He decided to take it upon himself to fill it up with his garbage. So not only am I constipated in a variety of ways, my only release mechanism would have been to be able to take out the trash and put it in a receptacle that was open.
Mm-hmm.
But he decided to relieve himself in the depository that I was supposed to relieve myself. This is all very spiritual.
Mm-hmm.
And not only that, but he's an atheist.
So, I mean, did you greet him? Did you ask him, what's going on? Or, I mean, what?
A little bit. I did greet him. Perhaps it was not as genteel as it could have been, but I did tell him that he was a stupid idiot for doing what he was doing, and that I did not appreciate that he was using my father-in-law's trash can, and so that he goes to stick his hand back in the trash can. Well, I assumed he was doing something like, like I don't know, like maybe he was lighting off a bomb because he's an atheist. and lo and behold, I lost it, Mr. Cook. And this is really the whole crux of my story. I lost it.
Mm-hmm.
And I decided to take the lid on the trash can and introduce it to his hand. I slammed the lid down on the trash can, and it broke his hand, and he starts yelping like a stuck pig, like a doggy pooping a peach seed. He starts crying like a little girl.
Wow.
And he's, I don't have a lot of sympathy for him because he's crying, and he's like all the tears and his snot. You know how I feel about that.
Right.
It's not good.
Right.
But nonetheless, I decided that I would allow him to cry, to get it all out of his system, to just, perhaps this was a way of me evangelizing him. And you know what he said to me? You want to know what he said?
What did he say?
You want to take a guess?
Why did you do that?
Yes, that's exactly what he said.
How did I know that?
He said, why did you do that? And I said, what do you mean? He goes, what did you do? And I said, what did you do? And he says, I put the trash away. You weren't happy about it. I was going to take the trash out and you broke my hand.
You actually broke?
And I said, well, why did you stick your hand back in the trash can? You're not a very bright man. You got a couple screws are loose or missing or something like that. You're a couple cards short of a full house. I don't know what the analogies are, but you know what I'm saying? He just made me mad. And not only that, he was wearing this stupid reindeer, looked like it was knitted for him, turtleneck sweater that he should have just been punched for just for wearing that. Because, you know, it kind of has a little AA battery you stick in the back and it lights up the little nose. No man on God's green earth should be wearing a shirt that you got to put batteries in. You know what I mean?
I haven't seen one of those.
It is ridiculous. It just ridiculous. And so
you actually broke his hand.
I broke his hand, and then because he jerked his hand back so fast, it actually hit the nose on the reindeer. It broke the reindeer's nose. One of the wires stuck into his nipple, and it electrocuted himself, and he passed out on the ground and peed himself. Now, what am I going to do? I'm already let out of prison on the Good Christmas Cheer program to go see my family. I've got Carol of the Bells ringing in my head. Like I said, it's like a pack hammer on the frontal lobe. I've got purpose-driven life that I can't escape. It's sitting in the house waiting for me to look at it. I've got this guy stealing space in my father-in-law's trash can, and now he's got a broken hand, a busted reindeer nose, and he zapped himself laying on the ground.
Not to mention a wire in his nipple.
And a wire in his nipple.
So
it's just very bizarre.
Did he call the police? I mean, what happened? Sounds pretty serious.
Let me just get to that in a moment, because that's a whole other story. But my big concern, Mr. Cook, you know that I've struggled with this in the past. Things have been going very well. I want to know, did I lose my salvation? Am I no longer a Christian?
Well,
am I going to go be the shish kebab?
Well,
am I going to fry like the fry bread?
That's a great question, Jedediah. I can understand why you might feel that way because of the damage that you've done in a state of rage. You know, Bob Morey likes to say that it is possible to be a Christian and suffer from mental illness and self.
Are you saying that I'm crazy?
No, I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying
are you saying I'm a couple screws short of a screw?
No. I'm saying that maybe the lack of self-control is one of your vices, one of your demons. Maybe it's your thorn in the flesh. And let me just say this: it might be a thorn in the flesh, but it's not a wire in the nipple. Okay. If you are in fact born again, then slamming the neighbor's hand in the trash can because he was using your father-in-law's trash can would not disqualify you from entering heaven upon your death.
Do you think that him shocking himself through the nipple region and then alleviating his bladder would cause me to go fry?
No. Because
are you sure about that?
I'm positive, because we are saved not on our good works or our ability to keep the law, but we're saved on the merits of Christ. The Bible is very clear about that. So
you don't think that I'm going to be a play toy for Satan?
No. Not if you're truly born again, not if you're trusting in Christ. You're saved, and that's what it means to be saved. You are secure in Christ. But you do need to watch your temper. Now, I'm curious to know what happened. I mean, how long was he passed out? Did the ambulances come? Did the police come?
Well, here's part of the problem. I didn't know that, I'm thinking to myself, this guy must be acting because it's just a little double or triple A that shocked him. But it shocked his left nipple. Just so happened that he had a pacemaker.
That's not good.
He didn't make it.
He died?
Yes.
That's not good. That is not good at all. So, is anybody pressing any charges? I mean,
no one knows it happened.
Let me ask you this: no one knows it happened. Why did you get so upset about him just putting trash in the garbage can? I was trying to set the story up to teach you a little metaphorical lesson.
Christ used parables, I like to use the metaphor, or sometimes the meta 3. But for this particular instance, it's a metaphor.
Okay.
I saw his atheism as a direct attack to my Christianity.
Mm-hmm.
That caused me being coupled with the Carol of the Bells, the ex-girlfriend named Carol that I dated, the fact that I don't like bells in and of themselves, the Christian smut that I was just given by my mother-in-law, all of that, and you take all of that and you combine that with the intestinal constipation, and I don't think I'm responsible.
I mean, I guess my question is, why, if he's just throwing trash in the trash can, what's the big deal? It's a trash can.
Because that's not his trash can. You understand what I'm saying? It's not his trash can, number one. That should end the debate. It's not his trash can. You don't stick your trash in other people's trash can. That's wrong. That's wrong on so many different levels. That's stealing. It's stealing space, as far as I'm concerned. And since he was an atheist, he was stealing air by breathing. Okay? He was stealing space, and he was stealing air, and he stole my release because I wasn't able to alleviate myself in the receptacle of my choice. He broke my ability to stop the squeezing of the trigger, and therefore, I think God punished him.
I think I got it. Now,
and he died now, but here's what I'm saying. Either I'm not going to lose my... Okay, so either I'm no longer responsible and I'm not going to lose my salvation,
mm-hmm.
or I killed a man and I'm going to go to fry. I really don't think there's a gray area here, Mr. Cook. I think you need to convince me theologically that either I am not responsible, and therefore, and this is just basic logic, therefore, since I am not responsible, I will not be held responsible by the court of law if they find out, and I'm not responsible because, look, I didn't want to kill him. I just wanted to, I wanted to maim a limb. Okay. But I don't think I'm responsible because of all these other factors that were going on to push me to the point. He just happened to be the straw that broke the doggie's back.
Mm-hmm.
Or I am responsible, and if I'm responsible, I'm a shish kebab.
Well, Christians sin, and this is something that is very clear in Scripture. So I think I'm a little bit concerned. When did this happen?
Well, this happened about a week ago. 6 days ago.
And you said nobody knows that the man has died?
I'm not what you would call a rocket scientist or an engineer, or I'm not even a good ditch digger. But I've got a sneaking suspicion that after this radio show, they're going to find out.
I'm a little bit concerned about the fact that they haven't found out. Now you're back at the prison now?
They brought me back on the 26th because my time was up.
Okay.
But maybe this will help a little bit. One of the main reasons why they didn't find out was because I put him in the trash can.
Jedediah, I think it would be best if you and I spoke off the air at this point.
Am I going to shish kebab?
Well, no, I don't. If you're saved, you're saved. But we need to talk about this off the air because this is a very serious matter.
You're not going to play Carol of the Bells, are you?
You can't go. No, I'm not going to play Carol of the Bells. But
okay, before we talk offline, do you think it was okay for me to break his hand?
No.
Okay, do you think it was okay for me to tell him he was an idiot?
No.
Could I have pushed him?
No.
Could I have taken the hose and sprayed it on his driveway and hoped that it froze that night so he'd slip and hurt himself?
No, those are all evil intentions to your neighbor. Remember?
Then that sounds to me like you've got a Christianity of what you can't do. What can I do then? Is that what being a Christian is all about, is all the things I can't do?
No. We really need to talk off the air. You're
the Reverend.
We need to talk off the air.
Okay.
I'll tell you what. I've got my screener has your phone number, and I'll call you after the broadcast today, and we'll talk about this more.
When you call back on the number,
yeah,
ask for Sally. It's my nickname.
Your nickname is Sally?
Well, everybody's got a nickname in prison. Mine happens to be Sally. I don't need to explain. It's a long story.
Okay. All right, brother. I will give you a call back today after we finish this broadcast.
Thank you very much, Mr. Cook. I appreciate your time once again.
Okay. Good talking to you, Jedediah.
Good talking to you, buddy.
All right. We'll see you.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Well, I'm never ceased to be amazed at the kind of calls that we get. I'm a little bit concerned about the fact that, I think it goes with that explanation that Jedediah needs some help. So, all right, once again, our phone number is 1-800-466-1873. You are listening to Theology for Dummies, taking your calls live on this New Year's Eve special edition. Let's go to our phones. We have Noon calling from Linda Vista. Noon, welcome to Theology for Dummies.
Hello? Is Pastor Cook there?
Hey, Noon, how you doing? Long time no talk.
Hey, Pastor Cook, how you doing?
I'm doing good. Good to hear your voice. Did you have a Merry Christmas?
Yeah, man, I got a big Christmas with the family, everything, man, and everybody do good. And since the last time I talked to you, man, already gained 50 pounds.
50 pounds.
Yeah, business is booming, man.
Now,
business booming.
Now, for those listeners out there that are maybe listening for the first time or haven't heard any of your calls in the past, Noon lives in Linda Vista, California. Obviously, he's Vietnamese, and he owns a business called Noon's Cryogenics. He basically is doing some scientific research, and he started this business in hopes of bringing people's dogs back to life. So what he does is, if your dog passes away, he makes arrangements and he freezes the dogs, and then hopefully one of these days he'll be able to participate in bringing that dog back to life and returning it to its owner. And along the way, also Noon has kind of created a product line. You want to tell our listeners about your product line?
Yeah, man. What I do is, what I did is I got the first time I call you, I tell you that I eat the dog.
Yeah.
And some people, my friend, got offended, but Romans 14 tell me if I don't feel guilty, I can eat it. So that's what I do. I eat it, and what I do, I make this new product. And I try to put it in the package, and I made it jerky out of the dog meat. So what I do, I call it God jerky. So basically, it's like dog backward, and basically use it for like evangelism, that kind of way.
And you're marketing. So you took this, you took the dog jerky, and you instead of leaving the dogs in the freezer, you made jerky out of them.
Yeah, man. So what I do, the people come for the cryogenic. They bring the dog there, and I tell them, oh, sorry, we cry. We do the hugging and all that stuff. And then I take the dog inside after they leave. Then I skin the dog. I take all the meat. Ooh, it's good. You put the butter on it with the lemon. Ooh, man, it's good. Especially German Shepherd. But anyway, you take that meat, and then what I do, I hang it on the hook in the rack, and then I just stuff the dog fur. I used to put the gel in there, but man, the gel too expensive. So now I just put rice in there. 'Cause rice, I get the big bag of rice from the Vinh Dong, and they put in there. And then they come in and they visit the dog, thinking the dog's just freezing. But anyway, I take the meat, and then I just hang it, and then I cut it in a strip, and then I put it in a bag, and then I sell it.
What about ever returning the dog back to its owner, though?
Oh man, cryogenic. That study. Nobody bring back nobody yet. So I figure, until somebody else do it, then I won't do it.
Okay.
I just tell them it failed.
And you also mentioned to me on a previous phone call that you were marketing these products in Christian bookstores.
Yeah. What I did, I took it to the place up there. There's the family something like that. Family something, and I tell them, I say, hey, I got this new product, and I think it go good next to your Jabez shot glass. And some other stuff like that, and next to the
Testaments.
Jesus is my homeboy T-shirt.
Yeah, next to the Testaments.
Exactly. The Testament. Yeah, that's the one you put in your mouth. Yeah.
So, and business has been booming. People are buying the product. You're getting orders.
Oh yeah, man, getting big order, man, and buy more dog, and the business is booming, and I don't know if I went down to the hurricane place and help out down there, and a lot of dogs missing now. I don't know what happened, but business is booming for me. And now I just need maybe some help from you. That's why I give you a call, because I heard your show back on the air.
So how can I help you?
Well, basically, Pastor Gene, that's what I need from you, because you're on the radio and you probably know everybody. Probably know Mel Gibson from the movie The Passion, and maybe some contact, because I'm thinking about doing a new marketing campaign for my product, and put it in the store, and I'm just looking for some contact. You got to give me something.
Well, I don't know Mel Gibson. I'm sorry.
You don't know him?
No, I don't know Mel Gibson. Who is it that you're trying to contact?
Well,
are you trying to contact Mel Gibson?
No, I try him too, but the guy I really want to do, because it kind of make good with my product, is have you ever seen the show called the Bounty Hunter?
The Bounty Hunter?
Well, it's called his name is Dog. His name is Dog, and he's the bounty hunter.
Dog the Bounty Hunter. Yes, I have seen that show.
Yeah, that guy. See, we have something in common. See, he's a hunter. He go hunt people and make money.
Uh-huh.
And I go hunt dog and I make money. So I figured that guy, man, me and him could make,
Well,
big
why would you want him to be associated with your product?
Because his name's Dog, and that's what I sell. I sell dog. So I think it's a good match. Him, Dog, and then I sell my dog product. And I think that would be just a good mix for my advertisement. Mm-hmm. And I think it just look good. But what I need is, see, I'm under pressure right now, because I got a deadline to meet with the photo shoot, and I gave him email, but the guy never called me back or email, nothing. So I just want to know if maybe you can help me with that guy.
No, I don't know Dog the Bounty Hunter. So you want to get him to be the spokesman for your product? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, because I think that guy, he could be, most of his people that watch the show, mm-hmm. I think a lot of them dyslexic. So I think when they see the show, they see the dog, they're dyslexic, so they see God. So it's like a secret way of evangelizing to the people that watch the show, because he's Christian. So I figure he's Christian guy. I got Christian product. And
Are you sure he's a Christian? Are you sure he's a Christian?
Oh yeah, he's Christian. He always talk about Jesus. He pray before he go out and get the bad guys.
Okay.
So he do a lot of praying and stuff like that, smoking, all kind of stuff. But it's okay. That guy, he good. I want to get him.
So you think that it would be a good match, you and him?
Yeah, I think the dog have long hair. I think he have long hair too, and he a little thin on the front side, but man, that guy, he look good. So I think he big, and I think he might take a steroid. And I'm thinking maybe I can ask him where he get his supply for steroids. Give my dog the same thing, and then get the dog bigger, so that way he got bigger meat. So I don't know, maybe benefit me in more than one way.
Well, I hate to break this to you, Noon, but I don't have any way of contacting Dog the Bounty Hunter.
Oh man, that's not good news. I got the deadline, and I need that guy, because I got big plan for marketing. I mean, I'm gonna put his face all over the package, and then put him. You know what a chip clip is? The
chip clip?
Yeah, you know what a chip clip?
No.
I'm gonna put it in the family bookstore, put it on the. Like in the store, they put the potato chip on the clip. Okay.
You're gonna put it on the end of the aisle there.
Yeah, so that way, I'm gonna have his face on there, and I want him to promote it, and that way, when people see the dog, they see him, they're gonna think, okay, the dog guy, dog jerky, this is good. So, and then I got other plans too to make like super-sized bag and put his wife on there too.
Super-sized bag?
Yeah, because his wife is a big lady. So I figured I got to get extra large bag, like Carl Jr. super size, McDonald's, things like that. So I figured I put her on there, but I can't put her on there because he's already a big guy, take up space. So I need to get extra big bag to put her on there too.
Well, you know what? I think that's a great idea, but why is it so urgent that you need to contact him?
Because I got the deadline for the photo shoot, and I think this guy, man, I don't know if I'm going to be able to get him, so got to do something maybe different. So I kind of got some backup plan for that, and I think it might work out for me.
Backup plan?
Yeah, I think I got a secret plan that I got to do to make this thing work for me. But see, I need it fast because I don't want to get in trouble with maybe the people that from the dog show telling me that I'm doing something illegal. So I need to get a hold of this guy.
Well, maybe if any of our listeners out there know how to contact Dog the Bounty Hunter, please give us a call at 1-800-466...
Okay, sorry. Go ahead.
If any of our listeners know how to contact Dog the Bounty Hunter, at 1-800-466-1873, you can call us and let us know. Obviously, Noon needs to get in contact with him as soon as possible.
Yeah, I need the guy quick, man.
Now, isn't he out in Hawaii? Isn't he out in Hawaii or something like that?
Yeah, he's on a big island, man. And that guy, it's easy for him to. I wish I had island too, and a bunch of dogs because they can run off. They can go anywhere but the water, and they get tired, so I catch them easy. But that's his advantage versus mine. But it's all good.
Okay. Well, Noon, I tell you what, I will we'll keep in touch. If somebody knows how to get a hold of Dog the Bounty Hunter, I'll certainly let you know.
Okay. Thank you, Pastor Gene.
Okay. Take care. Good talking to you. Let me see who my screener says we have here. It looks like we have got Barbara calling from Glendale. Barbara, welcome back to Theology for Dummies.
Hello, Mr. Cook. How are you?
I'm doing great, Barbara. Good to hear your voice.
It is so great to hear your voice, Mr. Cook. It's been so long.
Yeah, we haven't done Theology for Dummies for quite a while.
That's so true.
We've been very busy.
I've been very busy as well, Mr. Cook.
Is that right? Have you had a Merry Christmas this year?
Oh, Mr. Cook, I've had a lovely, lovely Christmas this year, but I am calling with a little bit of a problem.
Okay, what's the problem?
Well, I did take your advice, and now that I've become a Calvinist, I decided to go and look for a Reformed church.
Okay.
Now, I have gone and I have visited a church, and I've got a little bit of a problem and some questions. I don't think I'm going to go back, Mr. Cook.
You're not going to go back to the Reformed church?
I don't think so.
Okay. Well, can I ask why?
Matter of fact, I'm absolutely sure I'll never go back.
Well, I'm curious to know what the problem was.
Well, Mr. Cook, you should know that they don't have hair or eyes like you.
Well, Barbara, I'm going to have to ask you to...
Oh, I'm just being flirty there, twisty pants.
Okay. Remember, I am a married man, and...
I understand, and your wife is very lucky, and when I say lucky, I mean she is lucky. She's lucky like she hit sevens and a jackpot of an arm slot machine.
Okay, I'll let her know that you think so. But if I remember correctly, you're also married.
Well, this is true. My husband has left me.
Your husband has left you?
Yes. He walked out, like the dirty dog that he is.
I'm sorry to hear that.
It's okay, Mr. Cook. That happened. He didn't like the fact that I was a Calvinist.
That happens, Sometimes doctrine... He's a Christian, though, right?
I'm not so sure anymore. He's an Armenian.
Okay.
And so I don't think Armenians are Christian.
You mean Armenian?
No, actually, Mr. Cook, he is from Armenia.
Okay.
He's from the country Armenia.
Well, what was the problem he had with Calvinism?
Well, the problem that he had with Calvinism is that when he tells people that he's Armenian and they happen to be Reformed in their soteriology, they immediately reject him.
I see.
He thinks Calvinism is a racist religion because Armenianism is too close to Arminianism. Do you understand?
I could see, he needs to have somebody talk to him about that because I could see how that could possibly lend to some confusion in his thinking.
But oddly enough, Mr. Cook, though he was Armenian, his theology was Armenian. Is that a coincidence? I don't think so.
No, it's not a coincidence.
I don't think so.
So I'm curious to know, what was the name of the Reformed church that you went to?
It was Sovereign Grace of the Redeemer's Blood.
Sovereign Grace of the Redeemer's Blood. Was it in Glendale?
Well, just outside of Glendale. It was in Burbank. Okay.
And what you said, you're sure that you're not going back. What was the problem there?
I'm positive I'm not going to go back, Mr. Cook. They were just loathsome people.
They were loathsome people?
They were loathsome. I don't think they're Christian.
Why is that?
I was very disappointed, Mr. Cook. Obviously, I'm quite upset because my husband has left me.
Was the preaching substandard? I mean, what was the problem?
Oh no. The preaching was actually quite wonderful. I learned quite a bit. He was preaching through Philippians chapter 1.
Okay.
And I learned quite a bit.
And the worship music?
Oh, the worship was very nice. I was able to sing and worship pretty freely. I really actually enjoyed the worship. It was quite beautiful.
And so if the worship was good and the preaching was good, what's the problem?
Well, I think they've got character issues.
They've got character issues?
I think so. I think they've got character issues. I think they're legalists.
Okay, why? What left you with that impression?
Well, Mr. Cook, as I've expressed already, I was quite distraught since my husband had left me.
Mm-hmm.
And so I decided to go to this church that you had suggested that I would go to that would be Reformed.
Mm-hmm.
And I did so. I followed your advice. Whenever you tell me to do something, I do it, Mr. Cook. If you ask me to bark like a dog, I'd do it. I'd bark like a Shih Tzu. I would do it. You want me to do it right now?
No, that's okay. I'm curious. What was the problem at the church?
I could meow like a kitten. Rare. I could do it. Okay, so anyway, Mr. Cook, you're not in a very humorous mood today, so let me just go on with my story. So I'm very upset. I go to this church based on your suggestion,
mm-hmm.
and I decide to wear my lowest cut blouse and a very, very short skirt, and none of the men looked at me. None of the men drooled at me, and none of the men even gawked at me. I was so upset, I couldn't believe it.
Now, let me get this straight. Hold on a second. You wore a low-cut blouse, a short skirt, and you're upset because the men didn't drool over you?
Can you believe that? It is the most horrific thing I have ever heard of.
I mean, you're going to a church. What do you expect, Barbara? I mean, what...
Mr. Cook, Mr. Cook, did I not tell you that my husband had left me and that he was Armenian?
Well, that's you know...
I mean, even Armenians like the body.
That's beside the point. You're going to a church. You're not going to the church for the purpose of getting attention. In fact, the scriptures are very clear that a woman should dress modestly. And so you're violating the scripture just by wearing I'm assuming that when you say my lowest cut blouse, I'm assuming that this is a blouse.
It actually goes to my navel.
It goes to your navel?
Yes.
You mean one of those Jennifer Lopez blouses?
Yes. As a matter of fact, it's a J-Lo brand.
You wore that to a Reformed church?
Yes, it's her new line. It's called the J-Lo Ho, and I decided to wear it because I assumed that the ho meant holy.
And now, you're upset because the men weren't drooling over you.
Can you believe that they wouldn't look at me? They wouldn't even look at me, Mr. Cook.
Well,
there was not even a man that even asked for my number during the greeting time. Everybody said, well, turn around and greet your neighbor and say good morning and God bless them. I turned around and I shook as many men's hands as I possibly could. Mm-hmm. And not one of them even asked for my number, and not one of them even looked at me.
Well,
they refused to look at me.
They refused to look at you.
Matter of fact, the pastor, the whole time he's preaching, he wouldn't even look at me. And I was sitting in the front row, Mr. Cook, with my pen in hand and my Bible open, and I was leaning forward, and more I realized that he was purposely ignoring me, and therefore I decided to ensure that he understood that I was there. And so I started raising my hands and saying, hallelujah,
mm-hmm.
hallelujah, amen. I amen everything he said, and he still would not look at me.
Well, I think that, first of all, I think it was a mistake for you to go to church dressed like that.
Well, Mr. Cook, I was actually dressed very modest. I did not wear the 9-inch stilettos, and I did not wear the fishnet stockings. I decided to put them away because it was church.
And you're upset. You're not going back to the church because they didn't give you attention.
I think they're legalists, Mr. Cook. I just cannot imagine any church that I would want to go to that is spirit-filled that would not at least give some type of attention to a beautiful woman. I mean, if this whole reform thing is true, and we believe that God created all things and that God is the source of all beauty, then why can't we not enjoy beauty? And why cannot the pastor who is preaching, the elders that are there, the communion serving, the deacons, and the congregates notice beauty when they see it? Why can that not happen? That, to me, is a legalistic church, Mr. Cook, and I don't think that they're filled with the Spirit.
Well, I'm going to have to tell you, Barbara, I think that the problem is with you, not with the church. I think that you're being self-centered, and I think that you're violating the scriptural mandate for women to dress modestly. And if you continue to do so, then you're going to persist in sin. I mean, did you dress like this when you went to the Armenian church, the seeker-sensitive church that you belong to?
No.
Well, why would you dress like this at a Reformed church?
Because they're reformed and we're all under grace. And since we know grace, we should be able to do all things to the glory of God, including wearing J-Lo ho shirts that are cut to the navel. I don't see the problem with that.
Well, there is a problem with that. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to email you some, if you'll send me an email through the contact at unchainedradio.com, I'm going to email you some books to read on this particular subject concerning the modesty of women.
Mr. Cook, this is the roughest you've ever been with me.
Well, I'm just trying to be honest with you. I mean, this is my assessment of the situation.
Do you speak to your wife this way?
Well, if my wife wore a J-Lo ho shirt, I certainly would.
Would you look?
I don't even want to discuss this anymore. Yeah, this is not productive anymore.
I'm just saying, Mr. Cook,
our conversation has digressed.
You are a pastor.
Yes.
And you preach the Bible.
Mm-hmm.
And if you would look at your wife, that there would be no reason why you wouldn't look at me.
She's my wife. And
so you think she would wear that shirt?
Not the church. Not the church.
So could you tell me in what context I could wear a shirt like that?
Well, I don't think there's any context unless you're at home alone. Yeah. So.
What about if I'm home alone and I decide that I want to have some Christian brothers and sisters over to my house for a Bible study? Do you think it's appropriate then?
No.
Why? It's my home.
Well, because you're not dressing modestly, and you could cause someone to stumble.
Mr. Cook, are you saying I would need to wear a little doily on my head and have dresses down to my ankle? Are you saying I need to move to what's that fellow's name, Mr. Douglas Wilson's church?
No, I'm not saying that. But really, what I'd like to do...
That is what you're implying. Mr. Sir, I will have to tell you that I do not think you understand grace.
Well,
to be under grace means that you can enjoy these things in this life, that you are no longer bound by the restrictions and the traditions made of man.
Yeah, well, I'm going to have to disagree with you on this one, Barbara. Barbara, we have to... I've enjoyed talking to you, but I think you've got some issues going on here that need to be addressed. And that's all I'm going to say on this. But thank you for your call. I appreciate it, and I'll be emailing you soon.
Mr. Cook, I thank you for your time, and I still do think you are a snappy dresser.
Well, thank you very much. Okay. All right, we are taking live calls. You're listening to Theology for Dummies. Our number is 1-800-466-1873. That is 1-800-466-1873. Let's go to our next caller, Tad, calling from Glendale. I'm sorry, Tad, I forgot where you were calling from.
It's really not relevant at this point.
Okay. So it's been a long time since I've spoke to you.
Hello, am I on?
Yeah, you're on. You're on.
Oh, hold on. Am I on?
You're on right now, Tad. You're on live.
Is this Mr. Cook?
This is Mr. Cook.
Hey.
How you doing?
I'm all right. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. Pretty good.
Okay.
So what's on your mind tonight?
Oh, not a lot. So what are you doing?
We're doing Theology for Dummies, and we thought maybe since you called in, you had something that you wanted to talk to us about.
Oh yeah, I did. I did want to talk to you about a thing or two. I'm battling with a little bit of the phlegm.
Okay. Sorry to hear that.
I've been hacking up lung butter all morning, man. It's like these big lung smurfs. It's
okay.
Horrible.
All right. Did you have a question or a comment?
Well, yeah. I'm a little bit. Do you remember Noon?
Yeah.
Not the time.
Noon.
That happens every day.
Yeah.
Do you remember Noon, the person?
Noon, the guy that just called in a few minutes ago?
Yeah.
Okay.
Remember him?
Yeah, I remember Noon.
Okay. I'm not happy.
What's the problem?
I'm a little upset at Noon.
Now, weren't you working for Noon?
I'm still working for him.
Okay. Well, that's good. Staying employed.
Well, I don't. Well, maybe your mind will have changed by the end of this call.
Okay. What's going on?
Noon is not my friend anymore. Mr. Cook, he has got Vietnamese issues, or I'm not sure what he is, but
okay.
he's Mr. Cook. He has me doing things that I think are unethical at work.
Well, let's. Can we talk about it on the air? Or is it something?
Well, I think that's why I called.
All right. What's going on?
Well, Mr. Cook, he had me. I'm very upset. He had me. I'm hoping I can get this out without losing it. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Could you just bear with me?
Sure.
Okay. This, I've worked some very odd and peculiar jobs. I've worked jobs that would qualify as being crappy.
Okay.
Crappy.
Mm-hmm.
And I worked at Long John Silver's, and
mm-hmm.
I had to wear the pirate outfit.
Mm-hmm.
I've worked at places that I had to dress up. Like I worked at Chuck E. Cheese, and they had me dress up, but not as Chucky, as one of Chucky's friends, the bird.
Okay.
And those were all very degrading jobs. Kids would pull on my feathers, and they would say that I smell like bird poop, and they'd say I've got a small, well, I'll use a better term, small beak. I think you can guess what they really meant. And so Noon, I'm thinking, Noon, when he looked at my resume, knew that I had a background
mm-hmm.
in doing high-level entertainment like that,
mm-hmm.
and which takes some acting skills.
Now, last time you called in, you were working for Noon, making God Jerky, right?
Right.
And for those of you that may not be familiar with what God Jerky is, or may have missed Noon's call.
Oh, you didn't know that he's changed the name?
No.
Did you know that?
It was Noon's Cryogenics, wasn't it?
Well, it was Noon's Cryogenics, but the product that he was making under the roof or under the table, I don't know, was God Jerky.
Yeah, God Jerky.
To combine the two words, and it's going to be called Gurky.
Gurky.
Yeah.
Okay.
So he sells Gurky, and so he has me. So I'm still working there. Is that your question?
Yeah, you're still working for him making the jerky. Now, the thing that's kind of strange, Noon is Vietnamese, and he makes... Are you okay?
Sorry. Hold on.
You okay?
It's got some...
Are you okay?
I've got some stuff.
Okay. The thing that's kind of strange about Noon is that he makes beef jerky out of dog meat, right? Which is very common it's very common in some Asian countries for dog to be eaten as a main source of protein.
Or in Linda Vista, it's very common.
Linda Vista, that's in San Diego, correct?
Right.
Okay.
So anyway, he had me. Okay? So here's the story. He had me go to a place that does the photo shoots,
mm-hmm.
the instant photo shoots at the malls.
Like the glamour shots?
Right.
Okay.
Right. Like the glamour shots. And so I go to the glamour shot place, and he had me dress up like a dog.
Like a dog?
Well, sort of. See, I've got to be careful because this is where we might get ourselves in trademark trouble.
Some legal problems.
I think he's asking me to do things that are not therapeutic or copacetic or it's bad.
Okay.
Okay, well, he asked me to go. Okay, am I on?
You're on.
Somebody's calling through. I'm just going to ignore it, okay?
Okay.
He had me dress up. Okay, don't tell anybody. He had me dress up like Dog the Bounty Hunter.
Dog the Bounty Hunter.
Yeah, have you seen that show?
Yeah, I've seen it on cable TV. The guy that is a bounty hunter in
Hawaii.
Hawaii, that's right.
Yeah. He has me dressed up like Dog in some... He had me wearing leather pants that I had to put Vaseline on my legs to get on. He had me wearing these crappy-looking beads in my hair, and he had me put on like the Joe Dirt overgrown mullet, and then he thinned out the hair on the top, and then he made me smoke a cigarette, and I had to go yaw a lot because I guess the Hawaiians go yaw.
Okay.
I thought that was a Swedish thing.
Why did he make you do that?
Because he wants me to represent the Gurkha, and he thinks that if he gets, because obviously Dog is a very intelligent man, and he thinks that if he can get Dog to endorse the Gurkha, that all of the people will buy it. I mean, the guy's a genius, obviously, and I agree with Noon on that. I mean, he's a bounty hunter on an island. And that's genius. That's like a snow cone maker in Alaska. That's like selling popsicles to Eskimos.
Okay.
I mean, that's like selling sandwiches at a smorgasbord.
Right.
It's just genius.
Okay.
He's a bounty hunter on an island.
He is, yeah.
And I think that's a costume he wears. I don't know if he wears that daily, but I think it's a good persona. But he made me dress up like Dog and try to act like I was Dog. And here's the thing where I think we'll get in trouble. He said that he thinks that most of the people that watch the show are dyslexic. And so when they see Dog with the Gurkha, they'll immediately make a subconscious, subliminal mental connection with their dyslexia, and Dog will be inverted to God.
And
so it is a witnessing opportunity as well as a great marketing tool.
And let me guess, he plans to market this in the Christian bookstore.
Oh, yes. He next to the Samson Snacks and the Delilah Dilly Bars and the Juice for Jesus, probably in the same section.
Okay.
And here's the thing, though, that I'm very troubled by. He's got trademark issues, if that's the right term, I'm not sure. But then he made me smoke, Mr. Pastor Cook. I don't smoke.
Why did he make you smoke?
Because Dog smokes.
That's right, he does. He smokes like a chimney.
He smokes. He's a smoker. That guy, he smokes.
Okay.
He smokes worse than a 67 Nova with a blown head gasket. That guy smokes a lot.
Okay, so...
I mean, that guy smokes so much when he speaks, he sounds like part of his training includes sucking on a muffler running through the forest. I mean, it's just a lot of smoking. I mean, it's smoking. And I think that that's maybe part of his persona with the whole, I'm on fire for Jesus, I'm so hot I'm smoking kind of a thing. I don't know. But anyway...
So your ethical dilemma is that he made you smoke a cigarette.
Right.
Not so much that he made you dress up like Dog.
No, and well, there's another potential problem that came to the front of this, and that was that I'm already upset because I'm on my 9th cigarette within half an hour. Because when I get nervous, I smoke fast. So I was like, I have to light another one. And that's one of the reasons why I'm coughing up the lung butter today.
Okay, so let me just backtrack here a little bit.
Yeah.
You're working for Noon. He's got you making jerky out of dog meat. He's taken in these dogs under the auspices of a cryogenics lab.
Right.
He's making dog jerky. He's got you working around the clock.
Right.
He wants to sell it in the Christian bookstore, so he calls it, instead of dog jerky, he calls it God jerky.
No, he calls it Gurkha now.
Yeah, he calls it Gurkha now.
Right.
He sends you down to the mall to take glamour shots, dressed up like Dog the Bounty Hunter.
Yeah. And then he
makes you smoke cigarettes.
Well, that's not all of it. You want to hear the rest?
There's more?
Yeah. So of course I'm smoking, and I'm uncomfortable because the leather started to dry, and that meant that it started to shrink a little bit.
Mm-hmm. The leather clothing.
Yeah, and I was noticing that my voice was getting a lot higher by the minute, and and it's a lot of problems. But then all of a sudden I'm in there in the photo shoot. I'm working it because I click into model mode because I think I make a good model. And in walks a woman. I'm just going to say she wasn't fat. She was fluffy.
Okay.
She wasn't plump. She was pretty plus.
Okay.
She was dressed up with war paint looking like Wonder Woman, and I guess she was supposed to be Dog's wife.
So they hired a model to come in. It wasn't enough just to have you dressed up like Dog, but they hired a model to represent his wife?
Yeah.
What is he going to do with these pictures?
I don't know, but he made her curse a lot. I guess that's what his wife does.
Okay.
She was just cursing all over the place.
Was she yelling at you?
Yeah. And she kept calling me dog, dog, dog. And I just got so... I guess I ended up just taking on the role a little too much, and I got nervous, and I ended up wetting the ground.
That's not good.
Well, there's paper there, so...
So how did it all end up? I mean...
So after doing the pictures with her, I mean, it's a little weird. We're dating now.
You're dating now?
Yeah, her name is Pamela.
Okay.
Pamela Sanderson, and that's her entertaining name.
Okay.
But we're seeing each other. She's she's a good sized girl. She's she's 350 plus.
Wow.
But she's Italian, so
let's get back to the reason why you called.
Well,
can you kind of boil it down to one question?
Yeah. Let me just say one quick thing about her, because Pamela might be listening. Pamela, I really liked your joke after you told me that you were Italian. Remember when I went outside? She has a Pinto that she drives, and we went outside to get in the car, and I noticed that the car on the driver's side where she drives it is a little lower than on the passenger side.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, your car is crooked, and she says, no, I'm Italian, and so it's lopsided.
Okay.
Was that funny?
Yeah, that was good.
She's really clever. She's a great model/actress. What I wanted to know was that I feel conflicted, and I'm wondering to know what my responsibility to my employer is at this point. If I don't want to be just a man pleaser, just with eye service, but I've got to be concerned for my lungs.
Yeah.
And I just need
the cigarette thing really concerns me, that he would force you to smoke cigarettes against your will. Go ahead.
Can I just say one last thing in Noon's defense? He's trying to make up for it. He bought me a Christmas present, and the Christmas present was an iPod holder made. It was an iPod holder that was made from German Shepherd skin.
Wow.
And I mean, those are like, in what we do, the German Shepherd skin would be considered good. Mm-hmm. And so it was a thoughtful gesture, but I'm feeling, I don't know, Mr. Cook. Am I still on?
You're still on.
Okay. I'm not sure what to do.
Well, I think you got to follow your conscience there, Tad. We do have some other callers that are waiting to talk to us. So why don't you give me a call off the air and we'll talk about this more. Sounds like you've got some pretty serious problems. Now, were you able to get those pants off?
Well, I had to take a X-Acto knife and cut them off, but I had to be careful because, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Be careful.
All right, man. It was good talking to you.
You too. Thank you. Thank you for having me on again, Mr. Cook.
No problem.
All right.
All right. You're listening to Theology for Dummies. Our phone number is 1-800-466-1873. Let's go to Bartholomew calling from El Cajon, California. Bartholomew, welcome to Theology for Dummies.
Well, good day there, Mr. Cook. It's more than a pleasure to be on your show. I thank you very much for taking my call and I'm quite interested and looking quite forward to see if you can help me with my concern.
Okay, you're a first-time caller?
Yes, that would be correct. I am a first-time caller. I have not called in previously.
Okay, great. And what's on your mind?
Well, I was hoping that you might be able to assist me. I'm a Caucasian man that I have decided to live in a way that would demonstrate my lack of racial consideration, and so therefore I have moved to El Cajon.
El Cajon,
I've taken
California?
my family there. Yes, I've moved to El Cajon. This is in California. Are you familiar with El Cajon, sir?
Yeah, I am familiar with El Cajon. It's considered East County in San Diego.
Very good. Yes, I moved down from Simi Valley, which I sort of blended right in, and I decided that we would move to an area in which it had more colors in the tapestry, if you will.
Well, I'm not sure if El Cajon is known for its multicultural, what am I trying to say? Multicultural citizens?
Well, I would tend to disagree with you. We have...
Isn't it predominantly a white neighborhood?
Well, that depends on how you consider white. We have most of the men on our street that own homes are very tan, and the man who does our lawn is Hispanic.
Okay.
We like to call him Mexican American.
Okay.
Or American Mexican, depending upon how you want to abbreviate it, Am or Ma. And then, of course, the woman who does our home, who cleans our house, she's from Jamaica. And I believe that our mechanic is from, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, Egypt or Cairo or something like that.
Okay.
And lastly, the Starbucks that I frequent, the barista, which I think is a very ethnic name in and of itself, the barista that typically gets me my caramel mocha frappuccino when I'm thirsty and parched, she is, if I'm not mistaken, I believe she is Eastern of some sort, Chinese, Vietnamese, Japanese, something like that.
Okay. So I guess the landscape, the ethnic landscape of El Cajon has changed since I...
Well, it's certainly more diverse than Simi Valley.
Okay.
Simi Valley is, they called it Wonder Bread because there is quite a bit of the white folk there.
Okay.
And so we didn't want to raise our kids in an environment that was completely white for a variety of reasons. One, I am progressive in my thought. And therefore, it's important for me to see that my children grow up in an environment that would be inclusive of the colored people.
Okay, and so what's your question or your comment this afternoon?
Well, as I said, I've moved to El Cajon, so this is somewhat new for our family, and my son is actually going. He is bussed into inner city El Cajon. He's going to a school in inner city El Cajon, and this is somewhat of an MTV generation, as I'm sure you're quite. Do you have kids, Mr. Cook?
Yes, I do.
And what are the ages of your children?
20, 19, 15, and 12.
Wow, you are a busy man.
I am.
You got busy. A little joke. Well, Mr. Cook, my son is 11 years old, and he is already doing very well in algebra. He is on. We really encourage extracurricular sports.
Okay.
So he's on the chess team, and he plays the tuba in the band, and so he's very popular. But as you know, with the age of your children, this is quite an MTV generation. Am I correct in surmising as much?
No, it is an MTV generation.
Very much so, MTV, and. Let me just say, Mr. Cook, I'm a little concerned that we may have made an inappropriate decision to come to a more colorful environment. My son going to school in the inner city has been a bit of a concern for my wife and I. Let me just explain why.
I don't know if you can exactly call El Cajon the inner city.
How would you categorize it?
I mean, they've only got 2 high-rise buildings, and that's the county jail. But
think of that. It's a jail. I mean, that right there qualifies an element that is less than favorable.
Okay, I'm sorry to interrupt you. So, go ahead.
Yeah. I think it's semantics. So my son. Let me be very blunt, Mr. Cook. This is a show that obviously intelligent thinking adults listen to. Am I correct?
I'd like to think so, yes.
Oh, I'll not be graphic, but let me just say that I'm very concerned that my son is involved in engaging in illegal activity.
At age 11?
Yes.
What kind of illegal activity?
I believe this is somewhat hard for me to say, but I believe that my son is involved in prostitution.
At age 11 in El Cajon, are you talking male prostitution?
Oh, he's a very mature 11-year-old.
Are you talking about male prostitution?
Yes, I would say that would be male prostitution. Yes.
I'm just stunned that. Okay, there must be a reason why you suspect his involvement.
Well, I believe that I have incontrovertible evidence to prove as much.
Such as?
And that's really why I'm calling.
Okay.
I'm concerned with how to handle this information that I've been given.
Okay, what's the information that you've been given?
Well, my wife and I consider ourselves very close to our child, and we would consider ourselves to be quite excellent listeners. Mm-hmm. We are close to our kids, and we have a good relationship, working relationship, a good friendship with our children. We feel that we have an open environment for dialogue and discussion. When he wanted to learn a certain move with his bishop on the chessboard, he didn't hesitate to come and ask me.
Okay.
I was able to help him with that move, and it was a bonding moment for my son and I. Well, let me just say that my wife and I were in the kitchen. We were preparing our favorite meal, and as we are preparing our meal, we have the window in our kitchen, the sliding window is open, and we hear through the screen my son and his friends playing in the backyard, and one of my son's friend referred to him as a pimp, and he referred to him as Pimp Daddy.
One of your son's friends called him Pimp Daddy.
One of my son's friends, Michael, referred to my son as a pimp and as Pimp Daddy.
Okay, well...
Now, that to me, in and of itself, right there, is incontrovertible evidence to prove that my son is engaged in illegal activities, namely prostitution.
But do you realize that this is a slang term that kids these days use to address one another?
Of course it's slang, but that's they what do they call the prostitutes? What do they call the female prostitutes? They call them hoochie mamas, and some of them are called hood rats. These are all terms that are used to denote a certain reality. Am I correct? These are terms that are used to describe a particular type of person. For the ladies, it would be that you are what we would call, I don't know how old you are, but what I would call a hooker. And for young men, we know growing up that when someone says that they are a pimp or a pimp daddy, that means that they are engaged in some form of prostitution. Now, let me just say, I wouldn't tell this to my son, but I'm very pleased that he would be considered a pimp daddy, because it means that he has taken enough initiative to run the prostitution.
Let me just stop you right now.
Yeah.
I grew up in San Diego.
Okay.
I've got kids that they run the gamut as far as their age. I'm very familiar.
Yes.
I kind of have my finger on the heartbeat of what's going on right now.
Right.
Among the youth,
Yes.
And I'm telling you that this terminology is nothing more than slang that is used to address. Kids call each other this all the time. Especially if they're in a public school, in the inner city, as you call it.
Well,
and so if that's all, let me just put your concerns to rest. Your son, I don't think, is involved in exactly what you think he's involved in.
Well, I have some additional evidence that might sway your opinion.
Well, let's hear it.
Not only do I think that he is engaged in prostitution, I think that he's actively either selling drug paraphernalia or it's a reference to the girls that he is pimping out. We also overheard him talking to his friends about, and these are in quotes, selling the bizzles in the hood to make some fast cash. Now, that concerns me tremendously that my son would say something like that. Now,
are you sure it wasn't Bissell? Because Bissell is a vacuum cleaner.
Well,
the
term was he was going to sell. He's going to be selling the bizzles in the hood, so he can make some money.
Well, once again, I'm sure that he's probably referring to vacuum cleaners because Bissell is
Mr. Cook. Are you a white man?
I am, yes.
Okay, you're a Caucasian. Then perhaps you are not as familiar with the slang terminology as those that live in the rough neighborhoods like I live in El Cajon.
I think I'm very familiar with the terminology, but what exactly are you referring to?
Well, when you've got pimp and pimp daddy, when you've got selling the bizzles in the hood, it certainly doesn't take a mathematician.
I'm telling you,
I am.
Have you talked to your son about this? I mean, have you confronted him and asked him, like, what did you mean by this? Because there were some young men that came through our neighborhood just the other day that were selling Bissell vacuum cleaners. And it could be that your son is
because I'm a mathematician.
I mean, he plays chess. He's a straight A student, from what you told me. I'd be more prone to believe.
Doesn't that concern you? That to me goes to show his mad genius.
Well, I'm not sure.
Let me just. You asked a direct question. Let me attempt to offer a direct answer with how we confronted him. We also heard him speaking to one of his girlfriends. Well, that's what we think she is. We don't know now. She might be a hoochie mama. But we overheard him talking to one of his girlfriends about, and I quote, about blogging. Okay?
Blogging?
Blogging. Now, we decided at that point that was enough, and that we sat him down very sternly, and we confronted him about his blogging, and we said, young man, we don't know exactly what this blogging is, but it cannot be good. It cannot be good. There's nothing redeeming. There is no quality about a term like blogging that would have any redemptive value in it whatsoever. And do you want to know what my son's response was to his mother and I?
What was it?
All the kids at school are doing it.
And you took that as peer pressure?
Well, I take that as a young man who is very bright, very handsome, because he takes after me.
Can I call you Bart? Do you mind if I call you Bart?
Certainly.
Bart, do you know what blogging is?
Well, I don't think this is an appropriate show for you to tell me.
Well, blogging is nothing more than kind of an online diary where you type in your thoughts or what's going on in your life on a daily basis. That's what a blog is.
What?
And so you've got a young man who's just getting caught up in the culture of his day. Him and his friends are addressing each other as pimp, which is something it's become an acceptable slang term for youth to address one another with. The poor kid is not only doing well in school, but he's participating in the chess program, trying to earn money selling vacuum cleaners door to door. And on top of that, he's maintaining a blog. And you think that you've got a problem child on your hand because you live in the inner city? Bart, come on.
That is not my only piece of advice. Not advice, observation. Let me just give you this last observation that I think really puts the nail in the coffin. My son, in explaining what his favorite activities are, said that his favorite activity is checker chess.
Checker chess.
I think, like blogging and like selling the bizzles, that's another way of saying that he likes to look at the female anatomy.
I don't know what checker chess is.
Use your imagination, sir.
Well, maybe he was
Checker chess.
Maybe he was talking about checkers and chess.
Well, that could be, but when you take into consideration him being referred to by his friends as Pimp Daddy, when you consider the term selling the bizzles in the hood, then he is engaged in some form of blogging, which we have yet to define, and then you have him telling one of his friends that he enjoys checker chess, which that to me is not, there's no big leap, sir, to assume that he has obviously been tainted by this environment that we have moved him to.
And Bart, you like to think of yourself as a father who's not only in tune with his child's environment, but also in tune with what's going on in his child's life?
I would like to think so, yes.
And you haven't even sat down and asked him, what did you mean by the I'm sure it's not bizzle.
Well, when he told us that all the kids at school are doing it, when we asked him about the blogging, that was enough for his mother and I to send him off to military school.
Wow.
Sir, what would you do? You are a father of multiple children. What would you do? To me, this is yet again another indicator of the sign of the times where a man like myself, who happens to be Caucasian, if I hadn't mentioned that already, wants to engage in a more colorful environment, and in doing so finds himself placing his child in harm's way in the inner city of El Cajon, being so tainted by that environment that my son is involved in selling drugs. He is involved in prostitution. He is involved in, good Lord knows what blogging is. And then his favorite activity is checker chess. To me, that is an indication that as husbands, as fathers, we should be quite cautious in the decisions that we make when we move. I am planning on selling my home here in El Cajon, making a handsome profit, and moving back to Simi Valley.
I'll tell you what I would like to do. I'd like to do a three-way call with you and your son. So why don't you, the next time that we air, and I'll send it out in the announcements over the email, the next time that we air Theology for Dummies, I would like to actually do a three-way call with you and your son so that we can get
do you think that would be wise?
Well, I think that maybe you've misinterpreted some of the details of his life, and you're not being very reasonable in the way that you approach these problems or apparent problems.
Well, Mr. Cook, I will give as much in that I will be happy to oblige. However, I would contend that part of the reason why you're having a difficulty accepting what I'm saying today is because you're a pastor and therefore disconnected with the culture. I am someone that would consider myself quite astute culturally, and I think that I have my finger on the pulse of what's happening in my day and time. You might call me a hipster, whatever you will, a scene father. I even like some of the emu music and some of the llama music, and I'm just saying that part of the problem may be the fact that you are, sir, a pastor, and therefore you just may not understand.
Okay, well, let's do this. Next time, like I said, feel free to call in. I'd like to talk to you and your son at the same time and see if we can get to the bottom of this matter. But that's all the time I have now. Bart from El Cajon, I thank you for calling.
Thank you, kind sir.
Okay, take care.
Appreciate it.